Good afternoon, and welcome to Two Therapists Sitting in a Tree, TALKING. My name is Harla Rudolph, speech language pathologist, and my co-host,
Carolyn Herban, occupational therapist.
We are so excited to be here today on a beautiful Friday. We have a very special guest, Timothy Rohrer, and I would love to introduce him because we have a lot to say about Tim. So, Tim, if you don't mind, I'm going to, do a whole bio about you. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. So, Timothy is a Millstone, New Jersey resident, as am I, and a speaker, self-advocate, author, and educator on inclusion. At 18, he wrote a guide on how to teach people with and without disabilities how to communicate. And the name of that guide is How to Be a Good Influence to People with Disabilities, which teaches children how to introduce themselves to someone with a disability, how to talk to them, and how to invite them to hang out. Not only that, he wrote Timothy's Story, which is available on Amazon. Last month, Tim presented to over 25 schools and businesses during Autism Awareness Month. He's spoken at districts all across New Jersey, as well as Autism New Jersey's conference. I was at that one. The New Jersey Department of Education, and most recently on News 12, I saw you. Last month, he received a proclamation from the Monmouth County Commissioner for his hard work to change the lives for people with autism. He actively utilizes social media for tips for inclusion, to teach others how to communicate with individuals with disabilities. Now, this is a quote from you, Tim, that I want to read because it really, really rings true. And this is, quote, "For many years, we've been hearing about social skills, and we've been teaching them to students who receive special education services and support. But if we only teach them to these students, then the other students in the general education classroom will not have any understanding on how to communicate with people with disabilities. It needs to be a two-way street. Why should we be teaching these skills to all students? Sorry, we should be teaching these skills. I apologize, Tim, to all students, which is 100% true. Mm-hmm. So, Timothy, welcome today. We're excited to have you.
Yes.
Also, I now live in Freehold, but I lived in Millstone my entire childhood up until I was 23.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I didn't know you
recently moved. Okay.
And for teaching social skills to regular students, like the lack of teaching regular students how to communicate with each other will result in them being unaware of people with disabilities. Like, since autism awareness is now universally autism acceptance, they may lack both the understanding of awareness and acceptance. Teaching regular students about disabilities and how to interact with those individuals will be a benefit. So if someone with a disability feels lonely in school, they have a friend to talk to.
Definitely, for sure. Education is so important to everybody.
And thank you for spreading the word, because I feel like there's definitely been a big shift and there's more awareness, but not enough. So thank you for doing your part to help everybody out. Really,
Yes.
really important.
What made you get started in doing this?
When I was a student in high school, I was often bullied and socially excluded by students because I had a disability. Some students would bully me, while others, they may stand up for me in school or say hi to me in the hallway, but they never wanted to see me during the weekends school breaks, such as winter, spring, or summer breaks, which made me feel left out during our free time.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to, since I want to be included, advocating is one of the significant ways that we can teach people who don't know as much as me or other people with disabilities how to include us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So not only do you advocate, but the fact that you wrote a book is incredible. So what made you make that leap to writing a book?
With one of the major conferences before COVID, New Jersey Association of Community Providers, I had a lot of staff and professionals there that suggested to write a book, and we were stuck in a worldwide pandemic, being locked in our houses with nowhere to go, and I used the a lot of the spare quarantine time to write a book.
While everyone else was,
Baking
eating
bread.
and baking bread, eating, drinking, Tim was writing a book, right? We got to follow his
Yes.
lead. That's incredible.
How long did it take you to write the book?
It took me like a year.
Okay.
It's not, I started during the pandemic, like around April or May 2020, and then we released it in April 2021
Mm-hmm.
for Autism Awareness Month, which is now Autism Acceptance Month.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us a little bit what the book's about.
It's about a boy named Timmy. Timmy was my childhood nickname,
Mm-hmm.
and it teaches kids how autism affects him, and at the end, kids will learn how happy he feels when his classmates include him.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a sequel to the book called Timmy's Story, A Century from His Birthday.
Tim, I'm impressed. So who's your biggest inspiration through this whole process, would you say?
My number one inspiration was my mom, but another inspiration was my psychologist or therapist because while I was in high school, I felt very lonely that I didn't know why kids were excluding me in high school. And he told me the bitter truth that if you have a disability, you may find it difficult to fit in with your regular peers, which made me feel very sad. And when I talked to him that I really want to write publications and do other work for people with disabilities included, he loved that idea and he gave me the platform to do so.
Mm-hmm.
Do you mind? I'm sorry, Carolyn.
Go ahead.
I have so many questions. I just
know.
kind of want to jump in. Tim, do you mind if I ask you kind of about because we're therapists, so if I ask you about your history with therapy and kind of when you were young, is that okay that I ask you about that?
Yes.
Okay. So what therapies did you get when you were younger?
I definitely had occupational therapy, speech therapy, and even some physical therapy.
Mm-hmm.
But I grew up going to speech therapy throughout most of my school years.
And did you feel that the speech therapy was helping you? Were there parts to it that you liked, maybe parts that you didn't? I would just love to hear your.
Like in my early childhood, I had a hard time pronouncing words, and
Mm-hmm.
and they told there were different ways that they helped me with learning. Like I went to an office for speech therapy in addition to going to school for it, and that definitely helped me.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
And when I was in school, we had the letter people, which are people with letters on it, and it teaches kids about the alphabet
Mm-hmm.
with words. And I tend to love the letter people back then, which helped me got better with talking.
Okay.
So you're a success story. We like to hear that as therapists, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And what about your occupational therapy journey?
Well, I definitely had occupational therapy in school,
Mm-hmm.
from what I remember. But as I grew up, like during high school, we had occupational therapy, but it was more of a group
Okay.
occupational therapy session for other students. But I had some few therapists that helped me learn how to do things independently, like
Mm-hmm.
when I was a teenager, and it also helped me learn with like driver's ed
Okay.
when we're practicing like hand over hand steering, like with paper plates.
Right. For
Oh.
coordination, that's a great idea.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's really a good
Yeah.
idea. Really, really good. Okay. I'm sorry. No, I interrupted you.
Oh,
Did you
it's
have a
okay.
question, hon? Sorry.
No, I was just going to ask about the sequel of the book. So is the sequel, what is the sequel about?
It's about essentially from a birthday party for Timmy. Timmy, like my actual birthday was on May 18th, but in the book it's April 2nd because that's World Autism Acceptance Day,
Okay.
and and kids learn how to make this party sensory friendly by telling kids they can't play tag or do anything that involves touch or loud noises, and
Okay.
they would do games like Simon Says
Okay.
or other sensory friendly ways of celebrating.
What's your favorite thing to do outside of work? Like, what do you enjoy doing recreationally?
I think seeing the book, I actually did the illustration, so I love to do art, which is the talent that came naturally
Incredible,
in the
right?
book.
So you did all of the illustrations in the book too.
Yes.
That's amazing.
You know what? on our, we should have had the book here to kind of show, but
Yes.
everyone could go on their own to get the book, but
Yeah.
I definitely should have brought
I
it
think
with
it's a
us.
great book for all
Yeah.
kids to have. So you also go around to different schools speaking in assemblies in the area?
Yes, mainly in New Jersey, but in April 2024, I spoke at a school virtually in Norfolk, Virginia.
Okay. I've heard good things about your presentation in the schools in the area, both from kids and adults. So I think it's really impactful to hear for kids to hear from somebody who's gone through it. You know, I think sometimes when they hear from an adult just telling them, it doesn't make as much of an impact. So what kind of things do you talk to the kids about in your assemblies that you do?
I teach them about my most famous pamphlet, which was my first publication of how we're going to influence to people with disabilities,
Okay.
which teach kids step by step how to include someone with a disability. Like, if you see someone who's different from you, don't be afraid of them. They just want to be like everyone else. Be nice and introduce yourself to them. Start to talk to them.
So I was just going to ask you that because, you know, we have children that we're raising in the school system. We're always telling them to be kind, but from your point of view, what should we be telling our children? So obviously you said, you know, don't be frightened, go up to them, be kind, introduce yourself. Is there anything else that we could impart to our kids?
Well, I love the idea of having a buddy bench where kids can sit next to each other, like for kids with and without disabilities, or someone, two different kids to talk to each other, and get to know each other.
Yep, I love that. A lot of schools have that.
Yeah, they do.
I've seen that. My kids tell me that they have that.
Or even like give kids rewards to learn how to include someone with a disability. Like if they have a play date with someone, they get stars and get school rewards, such as being allowed to watch a movie during school, or listen to music, or eat lunch with a teacher.
Love that.
And I like how you're talking about how it's so important to include children even outside of school, because being in school is one thing, but like you said, the day doesn't end when you leave school, right?
Yeah.
And it's so important to remember that, and remember, you know, that inclusion is outside of school as well.
You know, and you mentioned who your inspiration was. So just listening to you, you're clearly an inspiration for other people, right? I'm quite sure. Like, I'm inspired by everything that you're saying. How does that make you feel that people are inspired by what you do and what you say?
I feel very accomplished.
You should.
It's a huge account. Wait, how old are you?
I just turned 24 on the
24.
18th of this month.
Happy birthday.
Yes.
And very accomplished at a very young age.
Yeah, so I've already written 2 books, and to have traveled all around. So what else do you spend your time doing outside of going around presenting? I'm sure it keeps you busy. Is there anything else that you're working on right now?
Like right now, I'm working on a transition presentation for Autism New Jersey in particular, but I also made a presentation that for college students.
Okay.
Can you tell us about that? I'd love to hear about that.
With the transition presentation, Autism New Jersey wanted a different theme for a presentation for me to present about, and we decided with transitioning, it has tips of including people with disabilities in the workforce, strengths and abilities of autism, and how people with disabilities can transition into the adult world from school.
Okay.
Did you have some jobs that you worked at that you enjoyed?
Well, I had job programs in high school, which helped me got my first job at I Play America, which is an indoor amusement park in Freehold.
Yeah.
I now have a part-time job at ShopRite in East Windsor, which I do in addition to public speaking.
Okay.
Incredible.
And what kind of help did you have with transition after high school?
I took life skills classes,
Okay.
Where did you take
and
those?
some occupational therapy services helped me too, as well as speech therapy
Where did you take life skills classes? Because I know there's
in Allentown High School.
in Allentown.
Oh,
They had
high
a
school.
different building, which we call the cottage.
Okay.
That's where the class took place at.
And do you think there's enough support in New Jersey for people to transition, or do you think there needs to be more?
And there is, but even though it's against the law to discriminate against people with disabilities, like people with disabilities may face hardships trying to apply for jobs because their employers lack understanding of how to include them.
Mm-hmm.
And that happened to me with a few other jobs.
Oh.
Really? Well, I just thank you for telling your story, because I'm sure there are a lot of other people that feel like they're alone, that this is only happening to them. But to hear that, you're going through it, no, you made sure that you were in a position where you weren't taking no for an answer, and you just kept going and doing your thing, and that truly is an inspiration for everybody listening, and just kind of hearing your story. So
Yeah.
we thank you for that.
What kind of feedback have you gotten from people about your presentations, from kids or teachers?
They love my presentations, and I received cards from children.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they send you cards?
Yes.
So before I was asking you about your brother, because I was talking about how my daughter knows your brother, and he's in the band. Were you in the band as well?
I tried to play saxophone while I was in elementary school. For most of elementary school, their elementary school is 3 to 5, and I tried there, but I took classes, but I did not keep up for the concert.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe just
Just
wasn't
for
your
fun?
thing. Yeah.
What do you have any hobbies?
I like to do art, as I
Oh, okay.
mentioned.
Yes.
How
Okay.
my illustrations derive from my art
Okay.
talent.
Do you
in the
draw
book.
outside of your illustrations for your book just for fun, or?
I love to hang out with friends. I go to Allentown Presbyterian Church, and I have many young adult friends to hang out with.
Okay.
And I have a few friends that I hang out with that I went to high school with.
Okay.
So, I just have a question about family members. I have a nephew who's autistic, and his sister, my niece, was also on a podcast about, kind of how she supports him and how she feels that she could be supported. What advice could you give to family members on how to support their siblings with autism?
And never give up.
That's definitely the theme here for you,
Yes,
Tim.
you don't give
Never
up.
give up. I love it.
Yeah. It does. It makes such a difference to people
Yeah.
when
to
they
hear
are
that.
educated too in how to communicate. I think not all parents know what to tell their children on how to communicate, but I think coming from somebody who felt that way is important, because you can only guess. And
So what future are you looking towards? So you're a writer, an illustrator. What's next for you on the horizon?
I hope to get asked to speak in school districts and conferences in other states like Pennsylvania, New York, Texas, California, Florida, and even around the globe.
that would be amazing. Is there any place that you really want to go?
For vacation, I'd love to go to Hawaii, which
Okay. Well, they have
it'd be
schools
great
there
for me
too.
to get business there too.
Yeah.
How
But
do,
I'm open to travel to anywhere for business.
how do people find out about you? I know your mom helps you a lot with your exposure, and she's your PR person, right? She gets your
Yeah.
name out. Is that how you advertise your talents and your skills?
Yes, we send emails to different schools. Like it's a hit or miss. Like some of them will say, "I'm inspired. Let's have me speak here," while others we never get an answer back.
Okay. Now, if someone's interested in having you speak, how would they contact you? Do you have a website?
I definitely do.
Okay.
It's called Tips for Inclusion.
Okay.
You can easily find it on Google if you just type that in.
Okay.
So tips and then the number 4, right? Tips
Yes.
and then 4 inclusion.
Okay.
Great. And what's on that website? So any videos? What can we find on the website?
You can find links to my social media YouTube channel, Teachers Pay Teachers, and I even have you can get my How to Be Good Influence People with Disabilities pamphlet for free.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Great. Oh, on Teachers Pay Teachers? Oh, I see.
I actually have the pamphlet on my website where
Okay.
you can get that for free though
Okay.
Great.
by just downloading the PDF.
Did you create that T-shirt you're wearing too?
We actually had someone make it.
Okay.
I like it.
Yeah.
Where can we get those? Where can we get those T-shirts?
Well, if you reach out to my email, my mom also shares the same email as me, and we can see if we can get you a T-shirt.
Yeah, that would
But we
be
had a
great.
sale during COVID, which lasted for like a, a short amount of time.
Yeah.
Great, great.
Awesome.
So I can't thank you enough for being on this podcast with us. In this time, I've learned new things about you. I thought I knew a lot, but you certainly shared more. And thank you for sharing your story. And so other people that are in your situation certainly know what to do. Family members, parents on what they could do to help out with their kids and tell them how to, work with inclusion. What did you learn today?
Yeah, no, I learned also, I didn't realize that you were continuing to do things with inclusion in the workplace, and I think that's great because I think it's definitely needed. And again, I think you do a great job getting the word out there and educating people, and I think education is so important. So it's great that you have the drive to do that.
You're impressive. You're
yes,
very
you
impressive.
really are.
You are an inspiration, Tim. So thank you so much for your time. We really, really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me.
Okay.
Yes.
Hope to see you again soon.
Me too. It's a pleasure
Yes,
seeing
enjoy
you.
your weekend.
Bye, Tim. Thank you so
Goodbye.
much. We just wanted to just chat about kind of our opinions and impressions of Tim and that incredible interview. So it's very emotional for us as
Yes.
therapists. So, as we're trying to maintain our composure and speak to Tim, it's emotional for us because as therapists, we're working with kids, young kids and adults and adolescents with autism. And so many of them really are less verbal and are not able to articulate kind of what Tim said. So to hear his story is just really moving for us because he's giving a voice to not only his story, but,
Right. No,
others alike.
No,
Yeah.
and definitely just watching him. I didn't ever meet him before today, and I'm proud of him. I feel like
right.
he, I think it's so amazing that he's able to, get his point across to how it feels to feel left out or to be bullied, and it's hard as a kid to feel that way, and he's been able to turn it around and
Make it positive.
So that was just really amazing to hear.
And the lesson of never give up.
Right.
I'm always trying to teach that to my kids and everyone. I just, if that is not a true example of
Right.
never giving up, think about all the obstacles in his way in regards to communication and education and things. Although the world has come really far, we still have a long way to go.
Right, and that is we've kind of shifted. Right, there always was autism awareness, and we've always pushed being aware that people have disabilities, and now I think it really that turn to acceptance it's an important shift because not only do we need to be aware that people have disabilities, but we have to accept and get to know them as a person because they do have a personality and they do have so many positive traits and things that can help like Tim. He's helped so many people, and I think it's so important to teach our kids today that it's important to be nice in school, and it's important to say hello to somebody and not bully them, but I think that next step is so important to get them to include children and to stop and wait and learn how to hear what they have to say.
And they're not just their disability or whatever it is. They're people, and I think sometimes it gets lost. It also gets lost on therapists.
Right.
Sometimes you get so wrapped up in meeting your goals and making sure, but they are people, and we need to learn their likes, dislikes, and it's not only see them for their disabilities, and I think that's a huge piece. Maybe when kids are younger, they may not see that, but certainly you know, we need to be so cognizant of that.
Yeah. And I think not only that, but that whole acceptance piece in the classroom that, you know, from a sensory perspective, a child may be aversive to loud noises. And, you know, so I think it's accepting that and changing, you know, so that this person can be included, you know, and not just saying, oh, well, maybe they can leave the room
They could
because
sit
they
out,
don't have
right.
loud noises.
No.
But how can we change our
Yeah.
environment as a classroom to really include this person because they want to be included.
Right.
They don't want to leave the classroom just because it's noisy. They want to know what's going on.
Or
and they
saying
want to be participating.
they have to work on that to be able to
Right.
get used to the noise. No.
No.
That's
Right.
if something's averse, why
Right.
should someone have to work on that?
Right. Right.
So
So I think it's so important that he's sharing that to schools because that's the primary place that kids spend most of their time. And, you know, and I feel like I've seen it so much where it's, okay, well, you know, take this kid out for a break and they might need a break, right? I'm not saying that it's not a good strategy, but again, I think it's so important to look at how can we change the environment so that everybody can be included in a school day. So
Yep. So I'm so happy we had him on.
Yeah.
I definitely think we should do that again.
Yeah.
Invite other adults with autism to really learn their stories. So I think.
And I think it's a great example for kids who are verbal on the spectrum that they can hear him express how he, you know, expresses his feelings and what he wants to get across because I think it will help them to say, I can do this too. Somebody else is doing this. And
or less verbal kids with augmentative devices
Right,
that are completely
exactly.
fluent in using their device.
And that's the other thing to remember too, is that when a kid has an augmentative device, I see that in schools too. When I've been in a school, a kid will have an augmentative device and sometimes it takes a little longer for them to use it. And I feel like the kids don't have the patience to stand there sometimes, or they think that it's just a toy and they'll try to press it. And I think we need to really make children aware and to educate them on what exactly that's their voice. It's not just a toy. It's not a computer. This is their voice, and they know what they're saying on it. And so I think there needs to be, you know, some education on that as well.
We all need to slow down. In this fast-moving society, like,
Right.
let's just stand back and slow down a little bit and give
them an
kids-
opportunity to speak because they want to speak.
Yep.
So,
Okay. This was such an incredible episode. So
it was great.
we'll be back again. We have so much more to talk about. And like we said in the past, we are going to do a live podcast. We just have to set that up where you can call in with your questions. I think that will really, really be such a good opportunity. So
Yes, and if anybody has any questions too, they could always email us and from our website.
Yep.
And we will add those into our live podcast.
Okay. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.